Okay, so for my activity analysis, I taught my mom and my sister how to make this craft. It's basically just a little cactus plant, but you make it out of rocks and gravel with a pot instead. I chose this craft for them because they both like the aesthetic look of plants, but with this, you don't need to upkeep it. Both my mom and my sister are not the best at keeping plants alive. My mom is very busy, and my sister has CP. So I chose this activity because I feel like it's a great way for them to have some decor around the house without having to worry about the upkeep. So the whole process just required them to paint the rocks green, wait for them to dry, and then choose whatever kind of design they wanted to put on the rocks. Let that dry as well, and then you put the gravel into the pot, and then you place your rocks in there as soon as it's done, and however you want to put them. So then it resembles like a little cactus plant. Some issues that we had during the whole process, I would say my sister having CP, like her hand grip is not the best. Like she gets tired easily with her hands. So I had to adapt with that and give her like a sponge so that she could sponge the rocks with the paint instead of having to hold the paintbrush for such an extended period of time and worry about the fluid motion of painting. I would also say pouring the rocks into the pot was difficult for her. So instead of having her pour them from the bag that I had them in, I had her take like handfuls and just place them in there at her own pace. My mom did not have any barriers. She really enjoyed the activity, and it was a fun way for all of us to bond. I would say some things that went well was they both completed the activity successfully and loved how it turned out. If I could go back and change anything about teaching the activity, it would be maybe adding or telling them more details about how much paint to use. Because I noticed in my instruction, I just told them to paint the rocks. So I would tell them like a specific amount of paint, because obviously if you pour too much out, you're going to waste paint. You don't need that much to cover these small rocks. And also maybe pick like different size rocks, so that way if it is too difficult for my sister or for anybody else doing the activity, smaller rocks to make the activity harder for people like my mom who found it very easy, and they can paint more rocks that are smaller to make it more difficult, or making the rocks bigger and giving those the option to just maybe have one rock, like just having to paint one rock so it's not as difficult. So just adapting in that way. But overall, my activity went really well, and I'm happy with the experience that I had.